17 points per game off of turnovers in this very young college basketball season.
To the starting lineups now for Santa Clara. Clark and Brownridge really drive the engine, but Denzel Johnson's a guy who can score too. Hubbard and Pugh will hit the glass hard. Hubbard is a 6'9" freshman. For Tennessee, Josh Richardson is averaging 18 points a game early on. Armani Moore is getting 8 rebounds per contest so far. And Kevin Punter is a guy who can be very dangerous from three-point territory. So just about set for the opening tip here in Orlando. Great to have you along. And here's Kerry Keating, Santa Clara Broncos head coach. He's worked for a number of highly respected bosses. Among them, P.J. Carlesimo, Dave Odom, Buzz Peterson, and Ben Howland. Says he's picked up something very important from each one of those guys.
The tempo of this game is going to be very key for both teams. For Santa Clara, severely undersized, they have to collectively rebound the basketball throughout. Tennessee has an advantage down low with their length and athleticism, and they're not going to have that advantage on most nights.
Tennessee with the first possession. Here's Armani Moore, 6'5" junior, and can really get to the rim. Tennessee right now with a 1-1 record. The jumper by Moore won't fall, and the tip is going to be out of play. It'll go the other way to Santa Clara. The Broncos coming in at 2-2. And they were drilled in Michigan State just 3 days ago, 79-52. They fell behind in that game, Sean, 17-2 on a Spartan blitz, and they never recovered.
So tough when you go to the Breslin Center if you fall behind early to try to climb back up the mountain. There were some positives in the second half, but you see the pressure and how it forces you to initiate your offense further away from the basket. A large part of this pressure is to get you to take time off the shot clock and get you out of your comfort zone for Tennessee.
Look how high the Broncos are. Johnson swinging here to the wing, and Brownridge, who comes in averaging 12 a game. Shot clock down to 4, and an errant pass right out of play back over to the Volunteers. So that pressure paying some immediate dividends.
Turnover on the opening possession, and with this small lineup for Santa Clara, and we'll get to the injuries that they have in their front court, they have got to value the basketball each and every possession.
So they'll play small. They've lost 2 bigs, as you point out, and maybe critical losses for the Broncos. We're only shooting 35% from the field. More driving and dishing there into the lane, and that is going to be up and in.
Good point of emphasis for Tennessee. As I mentioned, their length and athleticism underneath. It's an area where they feel they can exploit the Broncos. Their first 2 possessions, they got the ball down low on the block.
And Reese dropping in 2 for the first basket of this afternoon. And still to come, we've got Kansas and Rhode Island right after this one at about 2:30 this afternoon. Off the fake, Brownridge, and drops it in, a 3-pointer.
A great sign for Brownridge, and what I love about him, he's a scorer. He can shoot it, yes, from the outside, as you just saw, but he loves to utilize the shot fake and create off the bounce.
Sitting 45% beyond the three-point line coming in. Before that make, now he's 11 out of 23. Could be a big weapon today for the Broncos. Just 28% beyond the three-point line coming into today. Carmichael up top. Here's Punter. He can fill it from three-point land. Moore looking inside. Shot clock down to 2 as he drives in the lane. There's Reese for the stop. That just barely beat the shot clock.
But great spacing out on the floor. As you drive middle, it forces the back line of the defense to rotate over, clears out that space, and allows the flush.
Clark up top, 17.5 points a game for the senior out of East Chicago, Indiana. Although he has lately been struggling with his overall shooting. Has it on the wing. Quick step there. A little teardrop off. The window won't drop. Big battle for the rebound. This is where you expect Tennessee to be the superior team today. On the glass, Reese lines up a long one, but too strong. Another scrap for the rebound, and the Vols come away with that. Carmichael out finding everybody. He's a talented freshman.
They have high expectations for him, and down the road, he is going to be the star of the Tennessee program moving forward. He's got great potential. Potential is a dangerous word as a freshman, but I think he'll fulfill it with the way he works every single day.
Well, it's a program right now with a very heavy cloud looming over it. Turnover here with 16:34 to go. It'll be Matt Hubbard as he picks up the foul, his first. Donnie Tyndall right now being investigated, the head coach at Tennessee, by the NCAA, not for anything to do with the Tennessee program. We'll detail that in a little bit. It goes back to his days at Southern Mississippi. So he's off to a rocky start, to put it mildly, as Tennessee's first-year head coach.
And the biggest key for the players is to try to eliminate what's going on outside the program and just focus on what's going on the court. And I think that's where Josh Richardson really stands out as a leader on this team, an experienced athlete who a year ago, if you recall, they were trying to get a petition to bring Bruce Pearl back in Knoxville, and that loomed over them all season long as they went to the Sweet 16.
Gonzo Martin leaving the program to go to Cal. This one up top, long one for Woodridge, and knocks it down. Woodridge can really fire it from long range. Against Utah State, he was only 3 for 14, 3 for 12 against Michigan State. So against some superior competition, he scuffled with that shot. Into the lane, Moore. Good athletic move there to drop into.
Tennessee is continuing to attack the interior of Santa Clara. And this is going to be a problem for Kerry Keating as the season progresses with the lack of numbers that they have in their front court. But as long as you have Jared Brownridge, he can stretch you from the
Southern also departed the program. Tyndall had also been investigated by the NCAA at Morehead State. And that school used self-imposed sanctions to escape more serious punishment. So first-year head coach, and a lot of controversy immediately over Tyndall. First half knotted at 6. Santa Clara with the basketball here, coming in at 2-2. On the drive, it's Clark, and he's going to take a foul there with 15:15 to go, and that foul against Dominique Woodson.
With the smaller lineup for Santa Clara, they've got to be able to space the floor and attack off the bounce, and they found some good quality shots in their half-court sets, both of them knocked down by Brownridge. And somebody else has to score here. This would be the guy you look for.
Clark up top. Johnson will swing it into the corner. Johnson lofts and hits. Good looking shot for 3.
And Johnson's got a great personality. He ran over to both you and I yesterday, shook our hands, said hello.
Happy Thanksgiving. He is the nephew of former NBA star Gary Payton and the cousin of Travis Davis, who played football at Notre Dame and later in the NFL.
Actually played with Gary's brother in high school, Brandon Payton, who went on to Oregon State. Very talented player himself.
Woodson trying to spin, and he draws the foul. He is going to be a load to handle at 6'10", 280. As we give you a look at the bracket, we mentioned that number 11 Kansas faces Rhode Island later on today here on this court. That could be a heck of a matchup.
Well, I look at Rhode Island, and if you haven't had the opportunity to see E.C. Matthews, he's a future NBA player. Rhode Island coming off a win versus a ranked Nebraska team. They have a lot of confidence heading into this contest against Kansas later on today.
Good look at Michigan State as well a little bit later on this evening. Here from Orlando, the jump shot by Mostella won't drop, and a whistle and a foul against Tennessee. That'll go against Woodson. The big transfer from Memphis. That's number 2 on him.
He'll quickly go to the bench, and he's been limited. His left hand has been taped up. Missed action last time out. They need size and girth, especially when they get into the SEC conference play. He's the guy they count on.
Nearly turned over. Pugh with a nifty bounce feed. Hubbard bottled up down low. Clark trying to drive it, and another whistle. A lot of whistles here early on, and Tennessee has been quite foul prone in their first handful of games. That one will go against Mostella.
And a big part of that is learning the new system, understanding the defense. And when you trap down low on the baseline, and then you've got to try to recover, sometimes that creates long runouts. Long runouts, if you're not chopping your feet and settling down, leads to off-balance reaching and a lot of perimeter fouls right now for Tennessee.
And Clark harassed, chased out high. Back to Brownridge. Broncos certainly a backcourt-driven offense. Johnson back to Brownridge. Shot clock down to 16. Another jumper, and that one swished in the corner. You touched on Brandon Clark. He has to be the man today.
31 in the season opener. 15 of those came at the free throw line, though. He has not shot the ball excessively well so far in the season. Just 29% from beyond the arc, but he is a much better shooter than the numbers indicate.
So far, Richardson with the ball for the Volunteers pretty quiet. Santa Clara noisy beyond the three-point line. They are 4 for 4. Richardson, nice looking jumper for 2.
And his length should allow him to create off the bounce and elevate up over the defense, as you saw right there.
Second team preseason all SEC, so for the senior, expectations are very high. Brownridge on the attack into the lane, and that's going to be a blocking foul. Foul against Tennessee, and that'll go against Willie Carmichael, the 6'8 freshman, his first. 13:09 to go here in the first half. Tennessee last season 24-13 under since departed head coach Conzo Martin. Tennessee qualified for the NCAA tournament, went all the way to the Sweet 16. The Vols lost 4 starters from that unit, and then 4 players recruited by Martin decided not to stay. 2 others transferred. So that left Tennessee really scrambling to sign players.
And Willie Carmichael, who just took the foul, is one of those freshmen, though, that they feel can be a big-time player for them. And when you get in the recruiting game late and you make a coaching change, it's always difficult to try to piece together something in year one. And I think that's why you've got to have a lot of patience with this team. But the style of play that Donnie Tyndale has brought to Knoxville will be appeasing to their fan base. And more importantly, it's proven to have success everywhere he's gone.
There's no question about that. And he knows the SEC very well, too. He has a master's degree from LSU. He's an assistant coach there in the early days of his career. Under 13 minutes to play here in the first half. Tennessee with the ball. Mostella got airborne. Jumper by Moore, right on target.
I love the floor spacing I'm seeing right now at Tennessee. You drive, you get 2 to come to you. Instead of forcing the shot, they're finding the open player and creating not only a good shot, but a great shot.
Well, they break the pressure there. Getting Steven Edwards into the game. He's a freshman from the state of Oklahoma. Up top for Cratch. Here's Brownridge again. He's a sophomore, but a real leader out there. Shot clock down to 6. The swing. Edwards into the lane. Shot clock down to 1. Pugh has to heave it up. The hook shot didn't touch anything, and that's a shot clock violation.
Great defensive rotation on that possession for Tennessee. Santa Clara never looked comfortable in that half-court set. Everything looked like they were panicking a little bit, and that's exactly what Donnie Tyndale's team want to do.
And you've mentioned it several times. Tennessee's pressure is forcing Santa Clara to start so high out around midcourt when they get into their half-court offense.
And they really try to choke the paint away from you. They don't want to allow the ball to get inside the paint, in particular that elbow area.
Richardson, and a foul. It's going to be an offensive foul. That's going to go against Armani Moore. We have a break. 14-10. Santa Clara in the lead in game 1.
They are driven.
Be truthful.
Yes.
You can't wait to get out there on your day off on Saturday and hit the theme parks and get over to the Magic Kingdom. Well, Epcot Center.
You know our producer, Scott Gustafson. He loves the park as well.
He does.
And so we have mapped it out. We spent a half hour at dinner the other night mapping out exactly what rides we're going to hit up and how we're going to monopolize the park in the shortest amount of period of time.
Reach and foul on Edwards, a 6'2 freshman from Muskogee, Oklahoma. That'll be his first. So back over to the Volunteers. 1-1 so far with a season opening loss to number 15 VCU. They lost that game by 16. Tennessee last year ranked second in the SEC in scoring, right between Florida and Kentucky, but they have the lowest percentage of returning minutes in the SEC. Jump stop Moore, batted away, and a tough rebound there by Santa Clara. And Edwards, who's only 6'2".
And the possessions in which Santa Clara hasn't turned over the ball, they have been ultra efficient. 4 of 5 shooting so far in the early stages of this game, and all 4 of those makes coming from beyond the arc.
Even though several times that shot clock has dwindled down. Black with the dish for Brownridge, and off target. And another whistle and a foul against Santa Clara. 10:52 to go. Nate Cratch, the 6'6 sophomore, with the push and his first personal. He's come off the bench in every game, all 4. Santa Clara with the 14-10 lead. The fouls are piling up pretty quickly here, and we expected that might be the case.
Both teams want to play fast, and when you play fast, sometimes you play out of control, and that's what leads to fouls.
Richardson, senior out of Edmond, Oklahoma, approaching 1,000 career points. He came in just 225 shy of that. Into the lane with the teardrop, a lot of iron. Cratch with the rebound.
Well, that's a good aggressive move, and I think he's got to start asserting himself a little bit more at the offensive end of this game.
Clark tries it on the other end. Boy, it's a big rebound by Pugh to keep it alive. Clark, the bounce feed, a tie up here. Possession error will keep it on this end with 10:15 to go in the half.
And the story of this game have been the polar opposites of these two teams. Tennessee has scored all their points essentially going to the basket, being aggressive. 6 of their 10 points have come in the paint. Meanwhile, for Santa Clara, it's all out on the perimeter. But position rebounding has been good.
Pugh again into the lane. Wild shot, but off the backboard and in.
First 2-point made field goal so far in the game for the Broncos.
They extend the lead to 16-10 over Tennessee. And again, the Kansas Jayhawks on this floor later. Here's Hubbs to fire just off the bench, in and out. Well, that was in the cylinder and kicked back outside. Underneath, going for the stuff there, and that play was Hubbs.
And Jabari McGee, when he checks into the game, the one thing you have to know is he's going to try to get a rebound at both ends of the floor. That is his main purpose for being out on the floor, and a nice putback for 2.
That's what he said. He said, my only reason for being recruited and coming to Tennessee is to get rebounds. I am not a scorer. And a foul here. With 9:26 to go, the foul will go against Santa Clara and Nate Cratch.
And this is a great drive down the middle. Strong finish. You got to protect the ball. You know there's going to be hands reaching in, but Pugh able to get that tough 2 underneath. And Santa Clara, their shot selection so far has been largely behind the arc. Tennessee all within sight of it.
Tennessee 0 for 3 from three-point territory. Cratch to the bench with 2 personals. So just under 10 minutes to go in the opening half of our first quarterfinal. Great to have you along. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And that's going to be on the line, and a turnover for Tennessee as Mostella lined up. But he gave it away by stepping on the line right in front of the Bronco bench.
Complete mental lapse. Those are the type of turnovers that as a head coach you just lose your mind over. How do you not know where you are on the floor? Especially when you're lining up to try to get into your shot.
And you are a shooter, and Mostella certainly is. He shined in his college debut against VCU with 17 points. Turned over right back to Tennessee. They want to push the tempo at 6 turnovers. Airborne. Oh, nicely done there by Kevin Punter, the junior out of the Bronx.
And that is all predicated on the hustle of Jabari McGee at the defensive end of the floor. Stealing that pass and getting it up the floor quickly.
Johnson to attack. Wild shot, but a blocking foul. In the act of shooting with 8:45 to go. Back to that theft moments ago.
Here's what you watch. The long diagonal pass. McGee comes off his line, plays it beautifully. Pass up ahead, and then immediately attack the defense. You could tell they were unsettled. Float across the lane. Good soft touch by Punter. And Tennessee brings it within 2.
McGee with a foul to send Johnson to the line. Denzel Johnson, the senior from Fresno, California, is actually named after the great Denzel Washington. And then several years after Denzel Johnson was born, Denzel's dad, CJ, met the actor and told him the story. He said, my boy is named after you. And Denzel, the actor, was absolutely delighted. Got a great kick out of the story. Denzel with a theft in the backcourt. Off the fake. And another foul against Tennessee to put Johnson to the line.
Well, you talk about backcourt strength. And in the West Coast Conference, I think we always start with Gonzaga. And for good reason. When you look at Gary Bell Jr. and Kevin Pangos, 4-year starters, and what they've meant for that program. And we saw that last night in the NIT in their win over Georgia. But Kerry Keating has a very talented group of players in his backcourt. Denzel Johnson is one of them. Clark and Brownridge get a majority of the credit. But Johnson can score as well. Had 26 points against USF back in 2012. He's a guy that can heat up and get going, and I like his aggressive approach to this game so far.
Foul was on Punter, his first. Johnson sinks that one, so the lead 19-14. Johnson with 6 points.
You know how hard it was flipping between games last night. You had Arizona, San Diego State, a great matchup. Fran Fraschilla on the call there with Sean McDonough. And then flipping back over, and Coach Knight was on the call of that Georgia-Gonzaga game in Madison Square Garden.
You were up late, because I know you watched every minute.
Some great action in this feast week in college basketball Thanksgiving tournaments. Battle for Atlantis. A lot of upsets down there. Will there be upsets here in Orlando?
Richardson swerving into the lane. Tough shot, but he hit it.
So good when he gets 2 feet in the paint. You know what I love about him? He's always going off strong on balance. He's got 2 feet underneath him as he goes up. He's not drifting off of one, getting knocked off balance, and then missing those shots.
Clark on the baseline. That won't fall. Big rebound for Tennessee, hauled in by McGee. So here come the Volunteers, trailing by 3 here in the first half. Richardson will set up a play in the half court now. His fall-away jumper. Got it. He's starting to heat up.
And he heats up. It gets going in a hurry. And look at, he's the leader of the team, turning around, being vocal, playing with fire and energy here on Thanksgiving. And his team needs it because Santa Clara has had a very strong start.
Clark using the screen. The swing to Johnson. Now Brownridge again, and a whistle away from the basketball, tangling up in the lane. And a timeout, 7:11 to go in the half.
Tennessee has cut the lead to 1. Why? Because Josh Richardson is attacking the paint, being aggressive. He's got... Oh, how cute is that?
Absolutely adorable. You see a few of those shots here at Disney World, Florida, don't you?
Yes.
Now Tennessee with an opportunity to take the lead. They last had the lead at 4-3. And the Volunteers will get it back to Richardson. He is the hot hand. He's also a guy who plays the classical piano. He says he's a little bit rusty. Hasn't practiced much the last couple of years. Here's Punter off the back of the iron. And the rebound tipped out of play. It'll stay on this end.
Santa Clara undersized. Coach Keating yelling at his players, making sure they understand they have got to put a body on every time a shot goes up because they don't have the size or the athletic advantage through positions 1 through 5 out on the floor right now.
Richardson came in averaging 18 a game. Wants to slice in again. Tried to use that backboard, and a foul here against Tennessee. So that personal will go against Carmichael, number 2, on the freshman from Apopka, Florida, and it's 1-and-1 time. We knew we'd get to 1-and-1 pretty quickly because of the fouls starting to rise, and they have here with 6:33 to go in the half. And that'll send Hubbard to the line.
This young man, Matt Hubbard, he came to campus, and I remember talking to Kerry Keating back at the West Coast Conference Media Day in Los Angeles, and I said, so, Coach, who's really stood out for you? He goes, Matt Hubbard. And he's making shots. He goes, and I didn't know or anticipate him coming in and feeling this comfortable at the Division I level. But not only has Hubbard made enough shots to be a player that is coming off the bench, but now he's counted on to be the guy in their front court that can score.
Really forced into that role into the starting capacity as he'll take a seat right now because of the injuries to the bigs. But he is playing very, very effectively from Colville, Washington. And so it's Santa Clara on top and shooting it well, 21-18. Richardson thought about stepping into that 3. Here's Punter again, and another whistle. That one away from the basketball. We talked about the injuries that the Broncos suffered. These are big guys who are out today.
And you feel bad for Yannick Atanga, who is coming into his senior season and had worked so hard over the offseason, every single day, committed to trying to become a better basketball player, regain some of his form that he had in his early career at Santa Clara. And it looks like he could be done for the season. Now, the doctor hasn't read it yet, but the preliminary read was a torn ACL. And if that's the case, you sure hope the NCAA will give him an opportunity to finish out his career with a 6-year of eligibility.
Hubbs gives it up here. Reese close in, drives in. That won't fall. Got his own miss back. It's out for Richardson. It never touched the rim, though. He'll fire in and out. So Tennessee had a couple of looks there. Nothing dropped. Johnson in full attack mode and a blocking foul with 5:41 to go. Say this for Denzel Johnson. He gets the basketball. He is going in one direction.
A straight line driver without question. He gets his hands on the ball. He is looking to apply pressure onto that defense. And a good way to attack the zone, by the way, is to get there before it's set up completely. And that's what he did right there, earning himself a trip to the free throw line.
Reese with the foul.
I'll tell you this, though. Watching him drive and seeing the defense and the way they collapse, if he jump stops, reverse pivots, Brown Ridge was wide open beyond the arc and nobody's around him. So as the game goes on, that's one area you've got to be aware of. If they do have position and they're cutting you off, be on balance, reverse pivot, get the ball to the shooter at the outside.
Look at Santa Clara, 8 out of 10 at the line, so they're hitting them. Tennessee has yet to attempt the free throw. Johnson bumps up the lead to 23-18. So just a couple of minutes ago, the Vols had a chance to take the lead. One of the rare moments here in the first half, and now some separation for the Broncos. Carmichael to the bench now for Tennessee. Richardson to walk it across now. Tennessee trying to pick up their second victory of the season. They made it to the finals of the Orlando Classic back in 2008, losing to Gonzaga. At that time, it was the Old Spice Classic. So they've had success here in the past. Here's Moore looking inside. Shot clock down to 9. Hubbs back for Moore. Probably should have shot it, but the dunk there for Hubbs as he drops in 2.
Richard a little bit out of position and was trying to tap that one away from behind. He should have slid in and not allowed that ball to get down there, but a good job with the finish for Hubbs.
So tightening up again, a 3-point game here in the first half. Under 5 to play before the break. So first quarterfinal of the Orlando Classic. Sean Farnham, Dave O'Brien with you. And still to come, Kansas against Rhode Island. Rhode Island's already knocked off top 25 Nebraska this season. So that could be an excellent game. Shot clock to 2. Clark heaves a long one and drains the 3 from way downtown.
I love the quick ball movement there. Now, I know it's late shot clock execution, an NBA three-pointer by Clark, but they got the ball inside and back out with a quick rotation to find Clark in rhythm.
It was their first field goal in 5.5 minutes. So it had been a while for the Broncos. Hubbs dishing into the lane. Moore there and a whistle. 4:07 to go in the half.
Look at Santa Clara. Get the ball inside. Clark dumps it in, passes it back out. The defense is scrambling. And when you have a zone scrambling and they're covering the corners that they probably isn't their natural assigned rotation, that's when you can find success. And Clark able to dial it up from the outside.
Richard with the foul is first. Puts Moore at the line, who's only 3 out of 10 this season at the free throw line, but makes that one. That's their first attempt.
Great versatility in his game. He more naturally, probably a small forward, but been forced in the early stage of the season even to slide down to that 4 spot for the Tennessee Vols.
The co-captain, very physical guy from Kennesaw, Georgia.
Had a big second half against Texas Southern. 11 points all in the second half of that game.
More pressure from Tennessee. Richard breaks that. Johnson will back away to give it a good look now. 26-22 Santa Clara.
And look, Coach Tyndall was telling his guys to back up the top of the zone a little bit. Now they're extending it out on this possession. You got to communicate.
Bump and a foul here and a whistle against Tennessee. That'll go against punter number 2. Santa Clara with a 4-point lead here in this quarterfinal.
Gone through since last June.
Brandon Clark at the line here for Santa Clara, an 88% foul shooter. And front rimming the first one. He started the day 24 out of 27 at the line so far this season.
Well, the numbers, clearly on the side of Santa Clara. All of them except for the number of shots. Tennessee has 23 shot attempts in this game. Santa Clara only has 10. The difference is they've made 6 of their 10, including 5 of those from beyond the arc. The volume shooting on the side of Tennessee, success rate and efficiency on the side of Santa Clara.
And Tennessee, a program that could really score a season ago in winning 24 games, but they lost a lot of that scoring. Richardson airborne again, left it short. Tough rebound by Hubbs. That won't fall. And it comes back to the Broncos. A theft in the backcourt, however, by McGee, and he lays it in.
Oh, look at the soft touch for the big fella. Gets the tip away, gets the ball back in. A reverse layup.
So the quick hands of the Vols cut the lead to 3.
I mean, look at little things in the box score. That's 2 thefts in this game for McGee. Both of them have led to baskets for Tennessee.
Brownridge so far pretty quiet here in the first half. Clark deep in the corner. Got airborne. It's sloppy there. Brownridge comes away with a shot clock down to 4. Brownridge takes a look. Here's another NBA 3. In fact, beyond that distance. Tough rebound. Richard in the lane, but an offensive foul. So no basket.
You know, I can't say enough about what Jabari McGee has brought to the table so far in this game. He's gotten 2 steals. He takes the charge. Watch this, the hustle. A little back tap action. Chases it down. Handle with a soft touch off the glass. A nice job by McGee at that end of the floor, and then great defense down here. I mean, he is just all over the place. Plays with great energy, great passion. Tennessee needs it right now.
He went to high school just about 20 miles from Orlando. Another whistle here as Moore draws the foul. Let's give you a look at the Atlantis bracket now. How about Butler in a tremendous win over North Carolina yesterday, taking on Oklahoma at 1 o'clock on ESPN. And number 2 Wisconsin faces Georgetown on ESPN at 3.
Well, a lot of talk about Florida and some of their early season struggles as they took the loss to Georgetown yesterday. It's been upset throughout pretty much that entire bracket, but in particular, SEC fans talking about the Florida Gators. Don't worry about where Florida's going to be. They're injured. They're banged up. They're shorthanded a little bit right now. Billy Donovan's team, by the time they get to conference play, is going to be strong. So as many lumps as they're taking right now, it's going to improve in Gainesville.
Well, they're ranked in the top 10, 7 or 8, depending on the poll that came out early in the season. And Billy said, we're not the number 7 or 8 team in the country.
No, and when we saw them against William & Mary, I didn't think they were a top 10 team watching them in person. But they are a top 20 team.
As you point out, they're going to be a lot better.
When it comes so often for Florida teams, it comes down to your defense and how well you play at that end of the floor for Billy Donovan. I think it's a lesson that all players can learn is what do you do with the balls not in your hands? Is it 95% of the time it's not in your hands? How do you play?
A play again getting sloppy here as we close out the first half inside 2 minutes, each side with a turnover. Brownridge back to Healy and a timeout. Santa Clara. Kerry Keating taking one here.
It's a good timeout in this particular spot. Played their way all the way to the Sweet 16. Tennessee has been one of the more consistent programs in the SEC, and I think for the national perception of the conference, it has largely been focused on those 2 top teams that you saw in Kentucky and Florida.
But don't sleep on Tennessee.
Don't sleep on Arkansas this season in particular, though. I think Arkansas, who's been a long drought without getting to the Sweet 16, they could be poised to make that type of run this season for the SEC.
I know you were talking about 5, maybe as many as 6 teams in the SEC making it to the NCAA tournament. We'll see if that happens as Hubbs is off target.
It hasn't started that way, though, for the SEC.
It's not.
They have not gotten the wins that have been necessary, and they've taken some bad losses here in November. December has to be a better month for the conference to change the national perception as we get to January.
Well, Brandon Clark likes that shot, that teardrop in traffic. He drops in 2 more to give him 9. And Santa Clara continues to maintain a slender lead here over Tennessee as we are inside 50 seconds to play before the break. Richardson asking for some movement here. Here's Moore and another whistle with 42.1 to go before halftime. The foul on Kai Healy.
We've seen Brandon Clark stretching from the outside. This time to get you on the shoulder. And so good, so quick with that release as he floats in the paint. Gets it up and elevates it over any potential shot blockers. He got great touch as he attacks the rim.
Had a good half. So it'll be Moore to the line. The co-captain for Tennessee. Moore nearly signed with Donnie Tyndall when Tyndall recruited him at Morehead State 3 years ago. So when Tyndall took the Tennessee job, Moore assured the holdovers that they were getting a very good coach. And of course, Tyndall embroiled right now in lots of controversy going back to his Southern Miss days. He's being investigated by the NCAA right now. Not for anything done in Knoxville. Moore with 9 points.
If I'm Santa Clara, I use almost all of this shot clock here and try to leave as little time as you possibly can for Tennessee.
Clark lost the dribble, hits the deck. And a foul there with 26.9. Not something Tennessee wanted to do.
No,
Santa Clara leading by 2.
They're in great defensive position. I mean, they have really choked off any option to make a solid pass there. If you just stay firm and don't reach, Clark's not at the free throw line.
Contact by Richardson, his first foul. So Clark, an excellent foul shooter, back to the line, a senior from East Chicago, Indiana. He's missed a couple here in the first half, though. He's had a chance to make it an even better lead. They are 10 out of 14 at the line. Clark, the point man for the Broncos, makes 1 of 2. Santa Clara to bring Jarvis Pugh, the tough rebounding freshman, back on, and Healy, freshman from Australia, goes to the bench. And timeout, Tennessee.
So far here in the first half.
So we'll see what Tennessee drew up during the timeout. Pressure here, bottling up in midcourt. Punter trying to get rid of it. Tough catch there by Moore.
Really not where you want to get the ball as you're trying to break a press. And what that did more than anything was wind down the game clock. It's going to be late game clock execution. Look for Richardson to get something going to the rim.
He'll drive it. Tough angle. That rolls away. Rebound tipped and a heave here by Pugh. Will not fall, but at halftime, Santa Clara has the lead. 30-27 over Donnie Tyndall and Tennessee. 30-27 at the break as we send it to Jonathan Coachman.
7 points off those turnovers. Both those numbers should be higher with the opportunities that they've had.
You would think the foul shooting might be reversed too. Santa Clara 11 out of 15. Tennessee just 5 out of 6 because of the ball's size advantage, but it hasn't gone that way. Tennessee opens up with the basketball here in the second half. Here's Punter up top to set up a play now for the Volunteers. The swing underneath for Reese, and they lost it. Another turnover. We saw a bevy of those down the stretch of the first half. It's 5 so far in the game for Tennessee. And game 2 will feature Kansas, the number 11 ranked team in the country, taking on Rhode Island. Right after this one is over, we'll have it for you here on ESPN. Johnson will back it out.
Very good Rhode Island team against a Kansas team that's in the midst of the process of becoming a great team.
That's what Bill Self told us at practice yesterday. Brownridge up top. Can't find a range there, and a big pile on the floor, but it'll stay on this end. No foul.
And there is Andrew Pappenfuss, and we brought you his feature at halftime, and his father Kurt is in attendance this afternoon as well, and a young man with such a positive look at life, and a lot of that has to come to do with the fact of the support base that he has around him. He told me Kerry Keating and him will be friends for life, and that when his parents were unable to be there immediately following the seizure that he suffered in June, that Kerry Keating acted as if he was a father. And a lot of programs talk about creating that family type atmosphere. At Santa Clara, that's a real thing. Yeah, that's his father, yep. Kurt, who's there, and he's smiling. He's happy to be here.
You think he wouldn't be after what his boy has gone through? And Carmichael with his third foul. He came into the control room to watch that feature at halftime, and I think he was very touched by it. Well, what a young man he has. He has to be incredibly proud. To go from manager to walk on, he was going to get double-figure minutes this season.
Yeah, Coach Keating said he had played himself in the springtime up to probably a 10-minute per game guy, and that's a contributor that Kerry Keating was counting on.
Well, we wish him a continued recovery as Brownridge lofts. Got a great look, but it wouldn't fall for him. And a tough rebound by Derek Reese, a 6'8 junior.
And Tennessee's got to go in the paint. And get the ball down low. Utilize your size and athleticism.
Richardson slanting in. Blocked from behind. Nice stop there by Wardlow. Carmichael dragged the foot there, and that's a traveling violation. That's 6 now for Tennessee.
Well, Evan Wardlow is an outstanding defensive player. Had the reputation of being one of the finest defensive players in all of the state of California. Had an excellent high school coach by the name of Dave Rabibo, and now an assistant at San Francisco for a majority of his career before Joe Watt took over when Dave Rabibo left to join the Division I ranks.
Wardlow led his team in California to the Los Angeles City Championship.
Camino Real, Woodland Hills, California, close to where I live.
Clark forced that shot.
That was not good.
Clanged away badly on the attack here. Richardson, yes. And clearly, the most talented offensive player on the floor. Would you agree here in the first 10 second halves?
Yeah, Josh Richardson has got to assert himself and just take over, because as of right now, it has been sledding through some thick turkey gravy on this Thanksgiving for Tennessee outside of Richardson. But you see the way he catches the ball on the wing, attacks Wardlow, gets his foot over the top and his shoulders lower than the hips, and that's what allowed him to drive baseline and get the opportunity to finish.
So Santa Clara with a 1-point lead over the Tennessee Volunteers. Hand off here for Brownridge. Came in averaging 12 points a game. Clark lost the handle. They kick it away. That's their 10th turnover. Richardson again swatted away. A tremendous play by Jarvis Pugh to get high in the sky at 6'6".
Now this is some superb athleticism, not giving up on the play. Now, this is the drive actually that Richardson scored on. But that last drive here, watch this, get above the rim and just throw it out of bounds.
Great timing.
That's the kind of hustle. You've got to be able to recover, and that's ball hawking. That's coming from behind, chasing him down.
Now the Volunteers with a chance to take the lead. Richardson straight on for three. That's the first lead since it was 4-3.
He has the potential to have a very special season in the SEC. And he can defend. He's as good as an on-ball defensive player there is in the Southeastern Conference. And offensively, you can see how his length can cause problems.
There's Santa Clara now all of a sudden having a lot of trouble with the long arms and quick hands of Tennessee. Richardson has 11. You've said it several times today, needs to be the guy. Pugh and a block from behind. And they're going to call that a tie-up. It'll stay on this end, but for good defense by Dominic Woodson, the 6'10 sophomore.
Great size, the transfer from Memphis. And he plays with a nimbleness, even with his size. When I was at practice back in October, he made a couple of plays in transition, even bringing the ball up the floor. Active hands.
Inbounds for Johnson. Mid-range jumper, not there.
Not the best shot for Santa Clara. There's nobody in rebounding position except for people in white jerseys.
Over the top. Woodson. Difficult angle. Draws the foul. He'll be at the line. With 16-11 to go. Tennessee trying to target the big fella who missed the Texas Southern game last week to a left hand injury.
Well, he has put in some work since he's arrived in Knoxville. Slimmed down about 25 pounds since he stepped on campus. Of course, was part of a great prep school, Huntington Prep. Played with Andrew Wiggins.
Foul went against Jarvis Pugh, and off the back of that iron for Woodson. And Santa Clara goes to the bench. And they will bring on Nate Cratch, a 6'6 sophomore. Reese back on now for Tennessee as Armani Moore goes to the bench. This may be an issue, foul shooting for Woodson, who is out of Austin, Texas. Makes the second. Very smooth on that one. So the lead at 3 for the Volunteers.
You make shots, it allows you to press. And in the first half, Tennessee didn't have a lot of makes. So they didn't get to get into their press and disrupt Santa Clara as much as, of course, they want to.
Tennessee did not hit a three-point shot in the first 20 minutes. Santa Clara hit 5. Clark gave it a look. Woodbridge back to Clark. The jumper inside the three-point line is short. Rebound tapped up high by Woodbridge. A battle for it in the corner. And it will go the other way here with 15:44 to go. Tennessee has surged into the lead. They have the momentum all of a sudden over Santa Clara.
About the Red Sox, your thoughts on Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval now coming?
Really excited about both of those guys. I think all New England is abuzz over what the Red Sox are doing and spending a lot of money now pitching and more pitching. And maybe John Lester. We shall see.
Happy Thanksgiving for all Red Sox fans.
Feels that way. Shot clock down to 13. Woodson into the lane trying to power his way in, but can't get it to fall.
The Santa Clara has yet to make a shot so far in this half.
Tipped out a play by Reese. Santa Clara will have it.
So when you're wondering, okay, Santa Clara, what do you have to do to start getting back into your rhythm and flow? And my concern was that so much of their offense was predicated on their three-point shots, that Tennessee would make the adjustments, communicate better, and choke off their ability to get open looks from the outside. And so far, that has exactly been the case. And Santa Clara is now struggling to score the basketball.
Well, they were doing that. They were scuffling coming into this game, shooting just 35%. So they've kind of fallen back into that rut since halftime. Clark trying to negotiate. Johnson bounces. Shot clock down to 8.
And the ball has not gone anywhere, really.
And off back to Brownridge. Shot clock to 1. Will he get a shot in the air? He did not. He did not get it up in time. Shot clock violation. Outstanding D for Tennessee.
And Donnie Tyndall is really excited about how his team just competed on that possession.
Tennessee with a 3-point advantage.
Santa Clara's got to execute at the offensive end of the floor. I mean, they're not getting the ball inside in the paint. I mean, even if you're not going to score it, you can still pass it into the high post and then play off of it.
Woodson collected and knocked down 2 from close range.
Good job by Woodson, having his hands ready and the ability to finish. A 5-point lead now for Tennessee, and everything going the way for the Vols.
Now the Vols' confidence appears to be growing as well. After trailing almost all of this afternoon, Brownridge gave up the dribble.
They're looking backwards in their offensive sets rather than looking forward. And now you can play out.
Pugh tied up. Shot clock again down to 3. You're going to have to get a shot in the air, but that's going to be a foul there on the baseline. 13:55 remaining. Journey to the tourney. Atlanta's championship coming up tomorrow at 4 o'clock on ESPN. It's the winner of Butler and Oklahoma and Wisconsin and Georgetown. Wisconsin going in as the number 2 team in the country. Woodson just picked up his 3rd foul. This could be a big miss here for Tennessee. He has to step out. He's been very active the last several minutes.
That's where you need Jabari McGee to now come out on the floor, which he has, and provide that same kind of spark, especially down low.
In for Cratch. Now the Broncos to set it up. Their offense is really stalled here. They had a slender lead at halftime. That's gone now. Clark wants to penetrate into the lane. Can't finish. He did everything but make the basket. Punter back up top here. Swing underneath for McGee. And on the line, he draws the foul. That'll go against Nate Cratch's 3rd.
Well, Tennessee, a 5-point lead. But to me, when you hold your opponent for 6.5 minutes without scoring a single point here in the second half, 29 assists.
Wow.
Kevin Pangos is an experienced 4-year starter, or an oddity at the point guard position for a team that at one point in time in his career was ranked number 1 in the nation. Mark Few's got a special team this year.
Tennessee up 5 with the ball here, approaching 13 minutes remaining in this contest. Hubs up top, punter long range. That won't fall, and it's loose again. Back into the backcourt, picked up by Tennessee.
Loose balls going the way of Tennessee here in the second half, where in the first half it was much more on the side of Santa Clara.
Moore draws the foul. Armani Moore, the 6'5 junior. And a co-captain fouled by Pugh. That'll be number 3 on Jarvis Pugh, who has fouled out of a game already this season. 16 fouls in the last 4 games. He fouled out against Michigan State. Over the top. Tough effort there off McGee, but it's actually tipped out of play by Santa Clara.
That was a slow developing alley-oop attempt. And it didn't have a lot of sense of urgency going up for that one.
Now back in Matt Hubbard, the 6'9 freshman for the Broncos. Underneath, whoa, and a tough angle and knocked down by Armani Moore.
But how do you let Armani Moore walk right into the middle of the paint and post up and not defend him? That's the question.
Clark with a nifty dish to Hubbard. Back out. Here's the long one, Brownridge. Too strong. And a tide has really turned in Tennessee's favor fully here.
Just nothing going on right now for Santa Clara. Almost 8 minutes into the second half, and they have not scored a single point.
Bunner with a pull-up jumper. He drills that. So this is the biggest lead of the day for the Volunteers, up to 9 points. And they're putting it on the Broncos. Clark across midcourt. Look pass there for Hubbard, and it's tipped out of play off Hubbard. So back over to Tennessee.
Watch the inbound play. Amani Moore right there in the middle of the paint. You can't allow that to happen. Santa Clara does. Hubbard has to have an awareness of what's going on behind him. Clearly the freshman did not, and Moore made him pay.
Hubbs into the paint to lay it up and in.
The athleticism and the length of Tennessee, too much. It's overwhelming Santa Clara at this point in time.
Tennessee by 11. And Nick Keating wants a timeout. He'll take one here. An explosion here for the Volunteers. Michigan State against Rider and Marquette, and Georgia Tech to finish out the quarterfinals here at the Orlando Classic. So Santa Clara just looking to see the basketball go through.
Look at the activity, though, at the defensive end of the floor. Tennessee.
Shot clock at 5. This has happened frequently here in the second half. Long one, Brownridge. Big rebound for Tennessee, and jumping high in the sky for that, Dietrich Mostella. They're crashing the glass. They're playing great D. They're hitting their shots. The men in orange and white.
They settle it down and run the set that they need to here, but even going for that rebound at the offensive end of the floor, nobody was there in the maroon jerseys, white jerseys flying all over the place.
Absolutely right. Here's Hubbs, not there. Three-pointer, but another whistle. And a foul will go against Tennessee as we'll take a timeout. The Volunteers surging into the lead, 41-30 here in the second half.
When Steve Lavin brought St. John's out west, my mom actually met him at the airport years after I graduated and gave him some victory brownies. And they won 2 games in a row after that.
I hear there must be something else. Now, later on, Grandma Lala's stuffing. Is that what we're going to get?
Yes, in game 2, you'll have Grandma Lala's stuffing.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Hey, it's Thanksgiving. You've got to be able to, just try a new dish. Get outside your comfort zone in Thanksgiving.
Hubbard off the entry pass, dishing down low, back for Brownridge, in close, yes. And finally, the first points of the second half for Santa Clara.
And where was it? Inside the paint. The first half they lived from the outside, and that time some good ball movement. They forced the defense to collapse. That gave up a lane for Brownridge and his ability to score.
He gets into double figures, but it's been a cold shooting day for him. Way downtown is Richardson. He came in averaging 18 points a game, the senior. Under 10 minutes remaining here in our first quarterfinal of the day in Orlando. Into the paint, and that's going to be a foul. Brownridge draws the personal.
Now,
he's starting to get active.
Good ball move. Speaking of active, Santa Clara finally active at the offensive end of the floor after dropping it a little bit. Look at how the defense had to collapse and rotate, created the lane, and Brownridge was able to score the first made basket, the first points here in the second half, over halfway through this second half.
Mostella with his second foul. Brownridge, a 61% foul shooter, and hits the first.
You can manufacture points at the free throw line. Back-to-back possession now that Santa Clara out of a timeout has gotten points. This lead is not insurmountable with 9:50 left to go. And we saw Tennessee go through a long stretch in the first half where they struggled to score the basketball.
Brownridge makes the pair. 41-34. Punter breaking the pressure. Oh, more around the back. What a dish there, and easy stuff from McGee. Well, that was gorgeous.
I don't know what is worthy of the hashtag SportsCenter Top 10. The finish or the pass?
And around the back before that dish. Tap to Hubbard off the fake and draws the foul. And a personal foul here against Derek Reese. Back to that stuff.
Watch this. A beautiful behind the back dribble. The no-look dump off. And the elevation and finish underneath from McGee.
That was fun.
Basketball's supposed to be fun. So often we try to overcomplicate things. You want to get in this set or that set, space the floor, find your teammate, be unselfish, and watch what happens.
And let your talent flourish. That's when it's the most fun. 43-35. So McGee will come on out. Terrific play on the other end moments ago. His sister Jessica was a 4-year member of the Orlando Magic dance team. He went to high school just 20 miles from Orlando. A lot of talent in the family. The swing here. Here's the jumper by Punter. Rebound tipped. That's something Tennessee has done a great job of, controlling rebounds on the second ever, but thrown away. The bounce speed for Clark. Oh, he had a great look, but he couldn't get it.
He just rushed it. And how important would that made field goal been? And it's tighten things up and start to put some pressure back on Tennessee.
More frenetic pace here the last couple of minutes as the scoring is picked up. It could not have gone more stagnant for Santa Clara. More over the top. Woodson mishandled it. Draws the double team. Oh, did he fight his way through that? Well, when you're 6'10", 280, you can make a play like that.
Just muscle and overpowering the Broncos underneath that time.
Big Dominique Woodson at 6'10", out of Austin, Texas. Johnson, a bounce for Hubbard. His little hook. Yes, that should be a real good shot for him.
Well, it was a great screen against the center of the zone. He steps right in front, able to finish.
6'9" freshman. Richardson lost the handle. Here's Clark. A 1-on-2. He'll do it himself. No. He didn't wait for help. Tennessee comes away with it.
Boy, has Clark gone cold here in the second half.
Richardson's short jumper all net.
And that's the difference between winning and losing games right there. I think Clark had an opportunity to at least get to the free throw line, take an on-balance shot. He did neither. Off balance, fading away, missing the shot. They get the rebound, execute, and get an on-balance, high-percentage look at this end of the floor.
13 for Josh Richardson, the senior for Tennessee. Clark way downtown. Well, he's taking a couple of bad shots.
Coach Kerry Keating has probably got to settle Clark down a little bit and let him know, hey, time in possession. We're not out of this game. We don't need to jack up shots that early in the shot clock.
Well, you know, he's a senior, too. Expect him to be a little more under control than that. Richardson, a great look from three. Yes!
Well, he's a senior, and he's playing like it. Composure, high percentage looks, 5 straight points for Richardson. 16 on the game.
So the misses by Clark have been deadly. Richardson has the dagger. Foul here with 6:48 to go as Tennessee has opened up their biggest lead. They have been everywhere here in Orlando. Come out in great numbers to support the Kansas team.
A couple of turkeys. I went over and took pictures, by the way, immediately as soon as they walked in the facility. I told them this is going to be, they'll be on TV at least multiple times throughout the course of this afternoon.
Santa Clara with a turnover. Richardson, full head of steam, and draws the foul. He hits the basket support, gets right back up. As he was dragged down there by Brownridge. Picks up the foul. Tennessee with a 50-38 lead here in the Orlando Classic. To determine if it might have been something more than just a two-shot shooting foul here. It might have been a flagrant. They determined it was not on Brownridge. So Richardson's at the line.
Excellent job by the crew explaining it to Richardson, too, that they did go and they did look at it. And I think that's the kind of communication all officials want to have with players and coaches. I think it's the right call, by the way.
I agree. So Richardson, who's had a dynamite second half, makes the pair. And continues to be the star here today for Tennessee.
Just as he was in the NCAA tournament last year, where he averaged over 19 points per game.
18 today. And bumps the lead to 52-38. He had 17 against VCU, 19 against Texas Southern. So he has been Mr. Consistency. 2 for Johnson.
A good job screening the zone up top. And that's what allowed that lane right there. Punter a little bit slow in his rotation over from the weak side elbow.
Woodson, Richardson open, didn't shoot it. Here's Moore. And a rebound by Johnson. .45 remaining in our first quarter final. The winner of this one takes on the winner of Kansas and Rhode Island in the semifinals. Healy trying to take the baseline. Shot clock down to 13. Nice entry pass and cracks up for 2.
Nice job by Edwards. He looked like he was playing a little bit faster than you really want him to when the ball hits his hand, but he had the good awareness to dump that ball underneath. One of the few times here in the second half that we've seen Santa Clara execute in their half-court set.
Now, they were much more effective in the first half. They hit their threes, 5 of them in the first half, to have the lead at the break. Whistle on that baseline and a foul against Santa Clara as Kevin Punter went for 2, and that'll go against Healy.
Shot fake, pass fake, get ball reversal, make the zone shift from side to side. It can open up some lanes, and that's exactly what it did on that last possession.
So Punter to shoot 2, the junior college transfer. He's Tennessee's primary shooting guard, also spelling Richardson at the point on occasion, and makes the first.
Mentioned Woodson and his ability to lose weight. Punter has put on weight, added 18 pounds in the offseason, worked really hard, and his work ethic in particular has stood out to Coach Tyndall.
There's a nice pull-up jumper. He says he developed that playing on the New York City playgrounds because he found it so tough to get to the rim, and he had to have a way to score. It's worked out well for him. Rebounded away by Santa Clara. 5 minutes to go here in game 1. Healy with the entry pass and a foul against Tennessee. With 4:56 remaining. And that personal on Robert Hubbs. It'll be his first. And a non-shooting foul, so Santa Clara to check it in.
He missed Brownridge. He was wide open in the weak side corner. Clark never saw him.
Clark's had an up and down day. Would you agree?
Yes. Very up in the first half, very down in the second half.
Trying to penetrate again, and another whistle out high. And a holding foul, 4:40 to go. That'll go against Punter. That's 3 on him. So 1-and-1 time for Clark, who's an outstanding foul shooter, 88% coming into today. He's 2 for 3 so far this afternoon. And 2 for 4, and makes that one. Santa Clara coming in 2-2. Michigan State beat up on them 3 days ago. 79-52 at the Breslin Center. Broncos are a young team with 4 true freshmen. It certainly showed on that night against Michigan State. They're not the first team to go into the Breslin Center and get torched like that. Right out of the gate, they fell behind 17-2, and it was lights out. Johnson going for it, kicked into the backcourt, tried to save it. Oh, beautifully done. Clark lays it in. Denzel Johnson with some great hustle to make that happen.
I just love the energy he brings to the floor. I mean, he's out there and he just tries to make plays.
College football, Auburn is looking to upset top-ranked Alabama in a rematch of last year's epic Iron Bowl. ESPN College Football, Auburn and Alabama, Saturday at 7:45 on ESPN.
Richardson got his elbow up real high on Denzel Johnson. I'll be surprised if they don't go back and look at that one.
Reach-in foul here on Santa Clara. They'll get Clark for that reach. With 3:58 to go, it's still a ball game here as Santa Clara has closed the gap. A deeper explanation. What were you told there?
Well, the officials, when they were looking at it, said if anything, they probably would have assessed a common foul had they seen it. But as always in the game of basketball, sometimes calls are missed. Richardson does not get penalized, and they just play on.
Richardson with a difficult leaner. Won't drop, but tipped up and in by McGee.
I love his activity. He is just so active around the basket. As he gets more and more comfortable at the Division I level, I think he is going to be a tough interior presence for Tennessee.
A key basket for the Vols. Santa Clara was starting to recoup some momentum. Here's Johnson. Can't drill that one from straight on. Healy with a position rebound. He lost it. Now a tangle on the deck. Let's see what they come up with for a call. It's going to be a held ball to go the other way. So it'll be Tennessee's. Santa Clara had just 8 points the first 13 minutes 49 seconds of the second half. Last 2.5 minutes or so, they've scored 8. So they have caught fire to some degree. Still trailing 55-46. So the Volunteers with it again. Here's Hubbs. Richardson taking his time now. Shot clock down to 14 for the Vols. Richardson traveling with it. So the senior gives it up. 10 turnovers for Tennessee.
Well, and for Santa Clara, you've got to take a snapshot of what you've been able to accomplish over the better part of the last 3 minutes now, scoring points, and you need to kind of replicate that. And this player with the ball in his hands right now, Brandon Clark, needs to take higher percentage shot looks.
Trying to drive in the scoop, and I think you like that one.
That was good. He turned the corner, able to create space, soft touch off the glass.
16 for him.
I mentioned earlier this season, he had 31 versus Cal State Fullerton, 15 of 16 from the free throw line in that game.
McGee on the baseline. He stepped on the line. So that's back-to-back turnovers last 2 possessions for Tennessee.
Empty possessions often give confidence to your opponent. And that time, Clark able to turn the corner on punter and finish off the glass.
A 7-point lead for Tennessee. But Santa Clara with the basketball.
Remember, the energy starter here for all of this for Santa Clara has been Denzel Johnson. It was that tip play and the throw ahead that kind of got things going back in their favor.
Clark's jumper. Boy, tough rebound there by Brownridge, and he swings it out high. Great save. Back to Healy, and now it's Clark again. Quick step into the lane. Lost it, but drew the foul as he hit the deck. So Clark to the line. That foul was given to punter, his 4th. Clark knocks down the first one. Santa Clara still very much alive here, trailing 55-49. Lower scoring game than you anticipated?
A little bit. I thought this game would be played in the 60s, potentially seeing a team get up into the 70s. I think so many missed shots in the first half for Tennessee prohibited their ability to get there. And in the second half, it's really been Santa Clara's misses. But this is still very much so a game. Back-to-back possessions, Tennessee's turned it over. You need to make sure you get a good one this time.
Richardson. More harassed, driven almost out to midcourt.
And now it's Santa Clara's defense that's dictating the floor spacing for Tennessee.
Dumped inside. Reese, difficult shot, not there. Rebound knocked out of the hands of Moore, and it's going to be out of play off Santa Clara. And that's with 6 on the shot clock. With 1:40 to go and a timeout. So Tennessee will have it. Richardson to check it in again. Just 6 to shoot. Senior over the top. Oh, beautifully run play for Moore. And a tap 2.
Out of a timeout. Coach Tyndall dials up a perfectly executed play.
Another whistle here before the shot. No basket with 1:26 remaining. Back to that inbounds. They've done this a couple of times today.
Watch the screen on the weak side. The throw up. Kai Healy slow and reacting. No communication on the screen, and Moore's able to finish. I love when players come out of a timeout and do exactly as their coach drew it up. I mean, that's great execution for Tennessee.
Kevin Punter has just fouled out, the junior from the Bronx, with 5 points and 2 rebounds. So he is done for the day with 1:26 to go in this quarterfinal. And coming up next, as mentioned, Kansas and Rhode Island has a chance to be an outstanding basketball game. Kansas ranked number 11. Rhode Island has already picked off a top 25 in Nebraska before coming here, and Rhode Island is off to their best start in years.
Well, E.C. Matthews, you have to watch him play. I think this is a young man that has put up big numbers over the course of his career, all of his entire freshman season in the A-10. Now this year coming back as a sophomore, 26 points, 10 rebounds against a very good Nebraska team. And they're going to walk in with a lot of confidence, at least at the start, against the Kansas Jayhawks. We'll see if that confidence could carry them to maybe an upset victory similar to what we saw yesterday when Butler knocked off North Carolina.
And Clark misses the second end, so it's a 7-point lead for Tennessee. Moore trying to get inside that lane. His pull-up jumper, no. Reese with a strong rebound. And Tennessee with a timeout. And an angry Donnie.
Understanding the system, believing in the system, and executing the way that you need to.
1:09 remaining. Tennessee to get it in. Moore fouled by Healy. So the 6'5" junior fouled by Healy, who picks up his 4th.
Armani Moore has been very good at the free throw line today. 5 of 6 at the free throw line.
Which is a reversal from what he had been the first couple of games of the season when he went 3 for 10. And the first one, very confidently, he knocks it down. He has 14 points. I would say rather quietly, he's picked up 14. Came in averaging 10 points, 8 rebounds.
And Coach Tyndall, who in the first half, we saw at the timeout rather, getting on Armani Moore a little bit. Just set in between the free throws, got his attention, gave him a good thumbs up. And that's important as a coach. You get on somebody, they go out, they do what you need them to do. Then you build them back up and let them know they did right.
Kick ball by Tennessee with 1:02 to go. So the Vols trying to play their way into the semifinal. They will take on the winner of Kansas and Rhode Island tomorrow on ESPN. Clark trying to get a shot in the air in a hurry. Off the stop, yes.
Good patience and execution there, allowing the shot blockers to come back down and then elevating.
Richardson trying to draw a
that's
foul,
a travel.
and he is traveling with it.
Now that is a travel. He changed his pivot foot.
Clark with some terrific defense, really sticking to him there.
Good job forcing him to the sideline. I thought they could have got him with the hook and the reach right there. They didn't. And you see as the ball gets picked up, he changes his pivot foot.
59-52, under a minute.
You got to go in a hurry right now for Santa Clara.
Brownridge to drive it. Johnson. Here's Healy's shot. Got it! A 3.
Yeah, you got to press and bring it down.
Under 40 left. Mostella draws the foul. 38.8 seconds. Santa Clara will not quit. And trailing 59-55.
And turning turnovers into points. Brownridge gets stuck with the ball, but as he came off the screen, he forced 2 defensive players to go to him. Reese steps up to close out to Johnson, forces the long run out, and Healy able to dial it in from the outside.
Now Healy just picked up his 5th, so he has fouled out with 3 points. The freshman from Australia.
The big 3 points.
And a giant 3 in the corner to make this a 4-point game.
Against the zone. And if you're going to play against Tennessee, you have to have good ball movement. You have to be patient. You have to try to draw 2 defensive players to you. If you can get 2 players to you without turning the ball over, you should be able to move it and find a good quality shot. It's easier said than done, though.
So Dietrich Mostella, the freshman from Decatur, Alabama, at the line. Now the closest Santa Clara has been since the 16-minute mark. Nice save over the top there. Great job by McGee, and another foul. 33.8 seconds to go. McGee went airborne with a great save. Clark picked up the foul, and it'll be 3 on Brandon Clark.
The impact of McGee throughout the course of this game may not show up completely in the box score, but boy, he makes a lot of great basketball plays for his team. The hustle plays, the ones that in the pivotal moments when they needed something, McGee has come up with those plays more often than not.
Mostella, yes, all net on the first. Lead back to 5, and he has another one coming. Second end of the 1-and-1. Mostella originally committed to Pittsburgh and Oklahoma State, winding up in Tennessee. Makes 2 of 2. 61-55. Now we'll see if the hot 3-point hand will continue for the Broncos. Clark will drive it in the lane instead and miss. And another whistle with 28 seconds to go.
I think this foul's going against Santa Clara.
It will. It's an offensive foul. They're going to get Jarvis Pugh on a push in the lane. With 28 seconds to go, here's a look.
And just a push in the back. And McGee will be at the free throw line. Now see Clark though off balance on that attempt. You know, I like it when he jumps off of 2, and even if he's drifting a little bit, his base is underneath him.
He's had some nice moments today. Obviously, he's made some big shots with 20 points, but he's also missed some critical shots. Another one coming for Jabari McGee, who played a year at Hargrave Military Academy out of Albany, Georgia. Missed that one. Rebound tipped. And a foul. It'll go the other way. McGee tried to clean that up by getting into the lane, and he committed the foul. A lot of fouls here down the stretch. 27.4 remaining. That's 3 on McGee.
And what that does is stop the clock, allows Santa Clara the opportunity to potentially get obviously 2 points, but even more so set up their press and maybe force a turnover before they have to quickly foul.
It'll be Denzel Johnson, a nephew of the former NBA star Gary Payton, at the line. Makes number 1. He has 11.
You mentioned his father, CJ, earlier. Great athlete in his own right. Played football at San Jose State University.
Now Kansas coming up next. They're waiting to take the floor here in Orlando at the Orlando Classic and ESPN's Wide World of Sports. In and out on the second one. Rebounded away by Brownridge, though. Second effort. Clark again wild into the lane. He went down hard. He's in some pain. And another whistle stops the clock. Clark is down. Looks like he got a contact lens knocked out. Well, 18.4 to go.
Great hustle by Santa Clara to get the rebound. And the opportunity was there, by the way. If Clark doesn't drive middle, Brownridge is open near side wing. Just simply make the pass, wide open, uncontested 3-point shot instead of driving the lane and shooting a very poor off-balance shot.
And Brownridge, a guy, as Moore goes to the line, who is hitting 45% from 3-point land in the first couple of games of the season. Moore makes the first.
You know, and if it's 61-59, boy, things feel real different here for the final 18 seconds.
Boy, that is for sure. Moore really making his free throws, isn't he? 8 out of 9.
Very good game for Armani Moore. You know, averaged just 3 points per game last season. They're going to need him to score a lot more than that this season. Average came in about 9 points per game, just over that. Has had a very nice afternoon.
Tennessee, with the upper hand, has committed some silly fouls here in the last couple of minutes. No need for those. But 18 seconds to go and leading 63-56. And Clark still having trouble with that contact lens. And the guard says he's okay, ready to go. He can see clearly now. Edwards across midcourt. Got to get a shot in the air here. Clark on the wing. He heaves a 3. Well short. Rebound comes to Clark, the leaner, heavy traffic, and a blocking foul. So he'll be at the line to shoot 2 with 6 seconds to go.
Have you seen a guard hit the floor as many times as Clark has?
I'm not sure. It's been a while.
His hips have got to be bruised by the end of the game. Hey, Brandon Clark falls to the floor as much as any player I've seen, and a lot of that has to start with his base. You avoid the charge. There was no charge to be had there. Just go up over the top and shoot it in.
Stella with the foul as Clark misses the first. Been tough for him at the line today, where he's made 6 out of 11. He came in hitting 88%. 63-56. Another one for Brandon Clark, the senior, who has scored 1,000 points in his career at Santa Clara. Makes the second, give him 21 points. Right now, that's not going to be enough. Over the top. Moore will be fouled again with 4.5 seconds to go. So that's all the Broncos can do now. They had a slender lead at halftime and then went dead cold for about 10 or 12 minutes in the second half as it got underway. They just couldn't buy a shot.
I think you look at the positives if you're Kerry Keating. One is coming off of that game against Michigan State. Your team responded well in the first half. But they settled for 3-point shots. You didn't have a lot of production inside the paint in the first half. And when you come out cold in the second half, boy, things can start to mount on you in a hurry. You give credit to Tennessee, though. Tennessee allowed their defense to suffocate Santa Clara and then create opportunities for their offense. You know, they didn't force their offense in the second half. They were unselfish, had good floor spacing, and executed enough to get this victory.
And that'll do it. 64-57, Tennessee with a hard-fought win. They came from behind. You could say they won this game at the foul line.